My favorite for the longest time has been the HyperX Cloud III Wireless. These things have been amazing. And in this video, we're going to do a review on the Corsair VOID 2 headset. These seem pretty awesome, but how do they stack up against this? Let's find out. Let's go over real quick how to set these up in iCUE and check out some of the features. Coming to the Corsair website, we'll go to software and we'll go to download iCUE. We'll download the latest version here. Now, since the system already has a bunch of Corsair products, I've already downloaded and installed the software, but it's basically just click next, next, next all the way through, and then you set up what we're going to go over now. So then after you've downloaded and installed it, you'll click on the little arrow here and then right click on iCUE. You'll see immediately after you've paired it, turned it on and all that good stuff, VOID Wireless 2 headset. Great to see. I'm only at 66% right now. You'll also see the show battery gauge. I'm going to enable that because I like to see the little battery here. But anyway, we'll come back over here and I'll click bring iCUE to foreground. You may have an older version right when you get it, but that's okay. It'll immediately start downloading the latest and greatest firmware and all the software and everything for your headphones and anything in the ecosystem. Over here, we could see the dongle and the headset. So if we click on the headset, we'll get the lighting effects, key assignments, the NVIDIA broadcasting software, and the equalizer. Lighting effects, pretty simple. It comes already with all these predefined lightings and you can switch to it. So if we go to murals over here, this affects the entire system. So cool thing about the ecosystem, now everything matches there. We'll go to rainbow, everything matches. So I'm going to go back to Corsair Blue, back to home, then I'll click back on the headphones and I'll click effects again. I'm going to take it out of the murals. So then right now we can see it's under color shift because that's in the mural. So I'm going to delete that for now. Then I'm going to add a new lighting. Let's go add rain. And now that has the rain profile. So pretty easy assignment there. So now key assignments, click over here, and then we can do mute on, mute off for this button over here. And as for right now, it's on play. So if I click it, it'll play whatever I have play on already. So I'm going to skip that, but just know that it's there. Let's just delete this one. Then that's part of the NVIDIA broadcast software. And then of course, equalizer right over here. So I haven't played too much with the equalizer because myself, I always mess it up. So I'm going to trust a lot of what they have on there already. So we have presets of Pure Direct, Movie Theater, FPS competition, and bass boost. I've used Pure Direct the entire time, but of course, you're more than welcome to change anything you'd like there. Typically, I leave everything at default though, because I typically mess this up. But thankfully, as you saw already, if you do whatever you end up doing, restore defaults goes ahead and restores them. And then one thing you'll want to do, and at first it'll tell you up here, but because I've already installed it, it's not showing it, but you'll want to download Dolby Atmos. To download Dolby Atmos, just open up your Windows Store, type Dolby Atmos and click open. Once you click open and you have all the software installed and everything, then that'll turn everything on for you. Of course, you're gonna have to come in, set it up real quick. So one sec, I'll do that. That was a quick setup. Everything looks good here. We're under performance mode now. We can switch to movie, music, voice. I've been using game the entire time. To do some gaming, I put up my headphones, that way you don't hear me talking the whole time through the headphones. But in the game, I'll come under here, under the gear, and then under audio, I'll go to sound, then make sure we have 3D headphones on. Then of course, make sure that we have the correct headphones selected here under audio output devices. Then we'll just click OK here and keep changes. So like with most decent headsets, you can hear, of course, well, maybe a little bit more than most, that you can distinctly hear left from rights as you're turning where the audio is coming from. Usually it's not, the difference is not as clear in other headphones. I'm liking this so far. Now, I've been using these for a little over a month, and I thought the quality has been amazing. But right now is really when I paid attention to the sounds, the left and right, you know, the where it's coming from. What's going on? But I mean, I guess there's no better way to describe it. You're seeing it, that I'm hearing it, and it's coming across perfectly. It's definitely helping me with the kills. Well, as you can see, he owned me on that one, but the way that you're hearing the left and the right, the center, the way everything's spinning as you spin, it's pretty awesome in these headphones. And I never noticed it before when I was playing Battlefield 6. You saw it earlier. I never noticed it before, and the sound quality is actually better than I've heard in most other headphones. Definitely better than the HyperX, the way that it does the same kind of left, right, and all of that surround sound. So that's pretty awesome. One thing you're definitely going to want to do, since you will be using your microphone,
mic on.
You'll want to lower your microphone, click on the speaker down here, and then this little select sound output here. That's going to open up your headphones here, but then we'll go to more volume settings. So then we'll go to input over here, and we'll make sure for headset that the headset microphone is set to the VOID Wireless 2. In case you have anything else, you don't want that selected. I'm talking through it right now, so you can see it right over here. Then it also says this device is currently used, because I'm using it right now. If we want to play with the volume, we can here, just right over here. I'm going to put it at 50 because that's what I'm doing all my testing at, and then I'll come out of here, and then I'm going to click on the start button. I'm going to type record, and then I'm going to click on sound recorder. So you see that I've done a few tests here. Let me delete all of these real quick, just to make sure we don't get them crossed. So then over here, I'll click on the drop down. Again, I'll make sure I have Corsair VOID Wireless selected, and then I hit record. So now I'm recording from the microphone on the VOID Wireless 2. So we'll click stop here. And now I want to see how it sounds. I've already heard it before. I thought it sounded great, but let's see what you think. And then I hit record. So now I'm recording from the microphone on the VOID Wireless 2. So I think that sounded pretty awesome. Now again, that's from the microphone coming from here, not from there. And I think the sound sounded amazing. Right now I'm talking through there, but anyway, let me test real quick on the HyperX, see what it sounds like to you. In Windows, after we've turned that on, we'll just click down here and we'll click again, select sound output, verify that the HyperX Cloud 3 or whatever headphones you're testing are selected, more volume settings, and then we want to make sure that the microphone is selected here. And to keep everything the same, I had 50 on the other one as well. And just to verify, that is also set to HyperX Cloud 3. All right, cool. So let's test real quick. And now I'm testing with the HyperX Cloud 3. I want to see how this sounds. And now I'm testing with the HyperX Cloud 3. I want to see how this sounds. Now, it doesn't sound horrible, but you can tell the difference. The HyperX Cloud 3 sounds a little bit more muffled and a little more echoey. And that actually goes to the way that these sound overall. And I'll get into that in a minute.
Now, an interesting thing I found while I was testing was, if you notice here, the HyperX, if I click over here, it shows one channel, 16-bit, 16,000 hertz, tape recorder quality. And if I click here, FM radio. They're both around the same, and I think that's where I hear the muffled sound. Now, if I go back to over here, and now I go to the Corsair, and I'll click over here to see the settings there. 16-bit, 48,000 DVD quality, and that's the only option. So that makes sense why the sound sounds the way it does.
Okay, so then we can close out of here. Another test aside from gaming that I love to do because I love audio, and mind you, I can't show this to you, but my testing is I come under here under, let's say, one, my favorite song. I'll go to around right over here. Now, it sounds good. I really didn't hear the drum that much, and we all know what happened to the bass. But I'm swapping back to the Void 2. And then I'm coming back over here to play again. So the sound difference is almost night and day, but you really can't tell unless you're testing them right next to each other. The Void 2 has a lot more bass to it. Not bass that sounds really bad or distorted or anything, but like when Lars was hitting the bass drum, you can hear it a lot more right over here. On the, you can hear the boom, boom, boom. On the other headphones, you hear like a it was very low and very airy. Kind of sounded like when he hit it, like a gust of wind would occur instead of someone actually hitting the bass drum. So I'm hitting this button by mistake, and that's pressing play. So awesome feature, but you don't want that to happen while you're doing a video. Regardless of that, let's move on. All right, so now coming into the Ngenuity software for the HyperX. So we'll go down there and click Show All. Under Headset, like the Void 2, instead of Dolby Atmos, we have DTS-X spatial sound, and that sounds great as well. We have the equalizer as well that we can do whatever we'd like to. We can enable and disable volume and microphone and move the levels here and enable and disable mic monitoring. Now, while it does have a light sync option here, these don't have any kind of RGB lighting. That's just there for fun because they use it on other pieces of hardware. So then coming over here, we can see it does show the battery right over here. We're at 86%, and presets here you could select as well. Settings, just different things that you can do there. Nothing incredibly important. Now, with all that said, let's jump into some gaming real quick. Starting off, it already sounds much lower. So I'm just gonna raise it a little bit. And actually that's not the audio. And I'll get into that in one sec. Let me start. Just verify that the audio settings are the same. On, and we are under HyperX. Perfect. All right, so I didn't do too bad there. The game went well. The audio was good, not as good as the Void 2. It was a lot more spacious, more airy sounded, kind of like audio being blown through a tube. Now, mind you, If I'd never tested the Void 2, I would have been perfectly happy with these. They sound great, but until you test something better, you just really don't know. So again, the audio was great, and actually with that one, I could tell when I was turning and the audio was moving, that moved with me. This didn't sound as smooth. It still sounded great, just not as smooth. So being able to compare multiple definitely helps a ton. Before, this was tops for me. All right, now to compare the two. Starting off with the HyperX, this has a 120-hour battery life. I've been using this for a little over a year, and the battery life is amazing. I don't have to charge it probably for over a week. I don't use it hardcore as I used to, but it's been pretty awesome. Other headphones I've had have to charge within 8 hours or less, and that's pretty bad, like the HS80, the non-RGB version. This one over here will do up to 130 hours on Bluetooth, and you don't want to use Bluetooth unless you lost the dongle and you don't want to buy another one. Now, using the dongle, you'll get up to 70 hours, which still isn't bad. It's not 120 and it's not 130, but still, that's not bad whatsoever. The headphones on this guy, this is not detachable. It's on right now, and you can turn it off. Then you can also turn it off through the software and by pressing this little bar down here. The headphone on this one is detachable, so you can take it off if you need to and put it back on, and it is completely flexible just like this one as well, and you can turn it on and off through here. Specs wise, this one is far superior both on the microphone and on the headphones, but specs wise is where it stops. On these, the sound is a lot more tinny. I can't 100% explain it, but so it kind of makes sense if for the material, although I know the material probably doesn't have a lot to do with it or anything at all. It sounds very tinny, very airy. Airy, you definitely don't want that. Now these, they have a deeper, more bassy sound, but the sound is great. It feels more controlled than this one. And then when you compare the two, the sound is louder on this one, but spec-wise, this should be a lot better. And this should be a little tiny bit worse, but actually that's not the case aside from the battery. So this one should be between 10 hertz and 21 kilohertz. The 10 part is too low. You're not going to be able to actually hear that. Whereas this one is between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz. The impedance on these are 32 ohms at 1 kilohertz, while this one is 64 ohms. So the sound should be better on this. But as I mentioned, the sound on these are tinny. I can't explain why, and airy sound. I don't know what to tell you on that. Now they're both PC, Mac, and PlayStation and mobile compatible, so that's great. And the fact that you can also use Bluetooth on these instead of using the dongle, and you would have to use a converter, whereas for this one you wouldn't need to use a converter. But the fact that you can connect through Bluetooth, that would make it that much better. Now this is supposed to be able to get you up to 65 feet where it still sounds great, but once you get a little past the 50, then it starts disconnecting. You have to stop, wait a second, and then it comes back. It kind of doesn't line up right. Now this one is able to actually go a little bit further, though it's rated at 50 feet. I feel like I can go further in this, further than I can in this, and the sound doesn't disconnect, so that is kind of impressive. The microphone on the Void 2 is omnidirectional, while on the HyperX, it's omnidirectional. And from the sound clip, you should be able to hear just what that sounds like. Comfort-wise, these are a leatherette material. They feel amazing. My ear fits in here great. The band feels great as well. I would say about a month after I received it to review, it kind of got warped. I don't know how, but it just kind of got warped. It still feels fine while you wear it. It just looks a little bit awkward in the meantime. It also opens up like this, and just like the headphones, this is also aluminum material. You cannot open it up like this. Whereas this one, it's a cloth material. This feels amazing over your ears, and it feels like it wraps around your ears more than this one does as well. The top is also cushy and made from material. This feels so much more comfortable than this one as well, and it is also lighter. Now, aside from being able to do this just like the HyperX, you can also turn it just like this so that you can maybe put it in your backpack or something along those lines. So it hides itself pretty well. You also notice this has RGB, which to me is gimmicky, kind of pointless, being that it's on your head, you won't be able to see it. These don't have RGB whatsoever. And then kind of the only thing you can use this for. Now for the RGB lights, I guess the only time it's really going to make a difference is if you're going to the bathroom and you want to take a selfie and the lights go out and you're like, it's okay, I'm sexy. And so that might be worth it. The cost wise, at times I've seen them both the same price, but right now this is $20 higher than this one. So if you do want to get these, again, these are actually great, but these are better. If you do want to get these, you might have to wait for a sale, but these are pretty awesome. I'm incredibly surprised. Not that Corsair makes bad product whatsoever, but I was incredibly impressed by these before. So on here we have the power button, then the pairing button, which is also the play button. Down here we have the little rocker to raise and lower the volume, and also to mute the volume. And then, as I mentioned before, mute, unmute, and then down here tells you that it's on or off, or the battery. And then here is where you charge the headset. Over here, where you charge the headset, or where you can also connect it just like this to listen through in case the battery's dead, to power on and off the headset, and to mute and unmute the microphone. Microphone again is detachable. The volume rocker is right over here, and actually I like it a lot. It feels nice and smooth. One thing I did forget to mention about these two is this is only USB Type A, and I mean it works. And this is USB Type A as well, but also is USB Type C. This also brings a cable that connects to USB Type C and converts to 3.5 millimeter to connect maybe to your PlayStation or something along those lines, in case you don't want to do the Bluetooth thing, which this can't do Bluetooth, but it can connect through the dongle on the PlayStation or the Switch, just like this can. Corsair asked me to review the Void 2, and I thought, you guys are insane. You're going to go up against the Cloud 3. I've used these for a little over a year. They've been my go-to headset. They're amazing. But then using this for the past month, these have been awesome. I charged it once. Well, once and a half. But regardless, in that time, a month that I've charged it maybe once and a half, let's say twice even. These have been amazing. The sound quality is awesome. They feel incredibly comfortable. They're a little bit lighter, I think it was, than these, and they feel so good right on. Sometimes it feels like I'm not even wearing them, other than when my wife and kids are talking to me like. So anyway, so pros and cons. Pro, the cloth. I love the cloth so much better than the leatherette. The leatherette feels great, but then after a while, you start to sweat and it doesn't feel as great. The battery life could be better, but it's still awesome. 70 hours on the dongle versus 120 hours. You get 130 on Bluetooth, but the sound quality just wasn't there whatsoever. The microphone, you can see that the microphone on the Void 2 is much better than the microphone on the HyperX Cloud 3. I thought these were pretty amazing. Kind of the way that the deepness, the bass, I guess you could say, versus the treble on this, the way it sounded is also the way it sounded when I recorded the microphone. So that's something to think about. It's odd the way that worked out. It worked out perfectly. Again, the Cloud 3 has been great to me, but I think from now on till something better, which like I thought with the HyperX Cloud 3, till something better comes along, I'll use that. But for right now, this is the tops, and it might take some time to get better than this. This is Iggy with ThisBytesForYou doing a review on the Corsair VOID 2. Iggy with ThisBytesForYou out. See you guys.